Hi, welcome to another Roboflow training movie. In this movie we are going to show you how to use a hot folder workflow, a drop folder where files are dropped in, and I will catalog them. What is special about this one is we're going to use a UNC path, a network path. So I'm creating a workflow and I'm calling it Robo61 hot folder catalog file via UNC. Okay. Then I'm going to process files, newly dropped files in a hot folder. Here we go. And interval, I'm going to set this to -2, run on demand. Parameters, I'm selecting the hot folder. Now here we come to the selection of the hot folder, and you will notice if you go in here that you do not have the ability to go beyond your root folder of your computer. This is a security measure. You can go to the drive letters, but that doesn't mean you cannot use it. So if I have a drop folder on my network, here I have a drop folder, I can just copy paste this, and I don't even have to do it in here. I can just paste the drop folder in here and save it. Next thing is that now in the action script we are going to be presented with the files dropped in that file. So I'm going to open a catalog. So I'm selecting the open catalog action, and I'm selecting a catalog, and let's use for instance the sample. Where is it? Oh, too quick. Sample catalog. And to keep it simple, I'm going to call the variable under which I'm storing it also the sample catalog. I also document my instructions, so on the right you can always read what your application is doing. A good practice is when you open a catalog or a table field that you immediately close it again, so that you don't forget. You should always open and close whatever you open in your script. Not the other catalog from the workflow itself, but definitely the one from the script that you create, that you open yourself in the script. So open, then I'll click again, and then I can just catalog the file, but that means that the file will stay in place, and every time it looks in that folder it would catalog the same file over and over again, unless you are cataloging with an asset handling set that uses central asset location, which and moves it automatically to that central asset location. That would be a good possibility too. In this example, I'm just going to create a new folder, a target folder. So I'm going to file folder instructions, and in my file folder instructions I'm going to store a path as a folder. And which path? Well, I have my UNC path. Oh, sorry. So just to use the UNC a little bit more, I'm going to use this, and I'm going to create here a target folder. Make sure that if you are using any folder that Roboflow has the right permissions to work in that. And if I say Roboflow, then it means the Windows or domain user that runs the Roboflow service, or on Linux or Mac OS, the user that is running the daemon. I'm saying I'm creating the folder if it doesn't exist, and I'm calling it my target folder. And Control C and like that. So now I can read here that I'm storing a path as a folder, which is the target folder, and then I'm going to copy the file to it. So I'm going for file folder and copy move file. Okay, I can, which file? Well, the hot file. Why does it say the copied file? It picks up any tags from the current script, and at this point this is an element already in the current script, so that's why it's picking up a copied file, because this is the default name. Here I'm going to select the target folder. You could change the name, but I don't want to. Or if maybe it's a nice example to do, change the name. So what I can do here is I can use the existing name, hot, and actually so you could store separately and then use a variable to get to that name, new name, and we'll make that we create that action in a minute. So I'm doing copy file here, and I'm saying new file, for instance. Then I'm saying the new file. Okay, and so here I'm going to say new, I'm going to say file folder, I'm going to store path as a file, for instance, sorry, a part of a file as text. And so what I'm saying here is I say I want from the hot file to store the file name, and I say file name, good, file name, okay, like that. And then when I copy it, I can say file name. Now there is in the very latest version a little trick to this. If you type the hash, wait a few seconds and type the hash again, a drop down appears here with the stored tags in your script. So I had here file name. It also helps you with some default values, so we'll get to that in a moment. So I first want a date format. I want the day of today to be added, so you can use some predefined ones, or this one, for instance, and I can say date format. I want to prefix my file name with year, month, and then underscore, and then I type a hash, and I type a hash, and it appears again. And then here we go to file name. So it automatically adds what in the past you always had to type. So now I'm going to, it's copying the file, and then finally after copying the file, of course, I have to catalog it. So here, Cumulus catalog. Cataloging a file is a catalog action, so catalog file, the new file, of course, and I'm doing it in the sample catalog. Standard asset handling set, you can select those, check those, and this creates a new record. So catalog copied file. Okay. And of course there's plenty of other stuff you can do, as set feed values, apply permission templates, whatever you like, but we're gonna keep it simple. I'm just keeping it like this, and I say okay. Good. So here is our drop folder. Let's pick up some files from somewhere else. So let's pick up these 3 files. Say copy. paste. I have a very slow network, so it takes a few seconds. This is actually just an extreme a Mac Apple app extreme remote drive. So okay, here we go. We have those two files, and now I'm going to run the workflow. Notice that it says start workflows. Normally it will never say this unless you are running Roboflow manually, not as a service. Otherwise it will not say that. So you first have to start all the workflows before starting the individual one. Otherwise, if you click start here, it will just kick off all the workflows if nothing was started before. Roboflow has to be running before you can run a workflow, so there has to be a Cumulus connection, etc., etc. So this is running. You can go to the log and you can see it's already cataloging, processing the first file. It will be copying it and refresh now, and then deleting it, then picking up the next one. The third one, and it's finished. So if we have a look in our drop folder, if I do F5, everything's nicely away here. And if I look in my target folder, there we have our three files. It prefixed it with the year and the month. And if we look for this in the Cumulus catalog, I just have to type in the year and the month, and there are our three files. If we look in the information window, we can nicely see that in the asset reference it uses the proper UNC path. You could do exactly the same thing with mapping this UNC path to a drive letter and then using the drive letter. The only disadvantage of doing that is that Windows has a little bit of more work or trouble to identify that path in that case. And it could, if you are running Roboflow on a different server than the Windows server, or if you have a mixed environment, it could be more complex to get your proper translations between the different platforms. Remember, file sharing, info, etc. So I usually suggest to customers to use the UNC path to work with, and not a mounted drive letter. Also, the additional problem being that a mounted drive letter might not be available when you're running it as a service. So this was another Roboflow training movie. It helps you hopefully understand how to work with a hot folder workflow, rename a file, and work with UNC path. Thank you for joining, and see you in another movie.